We're making apple pie today. So we have our apples all nicely diced. And don't forget, get everything ready, your ingredient list, and everything's printed on our website. We have our diced apples, brown sugar, our cinnamon, melted butter, and now we're going to show you a quick, easy way to make apple pie. We're going to take the apples and we're going to toss them with brown sugar. We're also going to take a little melted butter and drizzle over top. And of course, cinnamon. Love cinnamon. Really makes your apple pie stand out. And I'm going to put it right in this pan. Give it a quick stir. We're shaking it, tossing it a little bit.
Chef, a question. Can we put some liquor in it?
You can put a little Calvados in it, right? If you wanted to do a little bit, just sprinkle it before you put it in the oven. We're going to put it in the oven, let the alcohol burn off a little bit, and then I'm going to show you how to thicken this to get the apple pie so it's not so drainy, so watery. Because that's a lot of times, that's what happens to your crust. It gets very soggy. Okay, so we're going to show you a trick how not to do that. We're going to put it in the oven now, 350, for 15 minutes. Then we're going to take it out. We're going to add the rest of our ingredients, put it back in the oven, and we're going to make the apple pie. Now the filling has been in for 15 minutes. We're going to take it out. Now I'm going to add my apple juice, organic apple juice. And now I'm going to have cornstarch. Now the cornstarch I use is a really good quality cornstarch that's as natural as can be. It's made from non-genetic corn, so it's an all-natural cornstarch. And we just mix it up a little bit. By doing this and adding just a touch of corn, you saw how much cornstarch is, just very little. When we put it back in the oven, as it cooks a little bit more, it'll get thick. As it gets thick, all these juices coat the apples and makes it a great apple pie. So now we're going to put it back in the oven for 10 minutes at 350. We're going to take our pie filling out. And as you can see, our juice, we don't have a lot, but it's nice and thick. So as we coat it, we're going to let this sit and cool off. And then we're going to have our pie filling. Now, on my pie fillings, if you want to cook these apples a little longer, you can. I personally like when I eat an apple pie for it to be a little crunchy, still, and taste the apples. That's why we use Granny Smith apples. So this is going to be maybe a little crunchier. If you want to cook it and you like your apples a little more cooked, that's fine. Just keep it in the oven for another 15 minutes. Cook the apples a little more. I made the pie dough. You have a recipe right on our website. Follow the ingredients. Make it a day ahead of time. The trick about making a good pie dough is to make sure that you don't overwork the dough, that you don't knead it and make it too pliable. Then your dough gets tough. So barely kneaded and barely put together. So now we're going to roll these out and we're going to make our crust. I have a nice sized piece for the bottom, and don't worry about the flour. We're going to brush off the flour if we have excess. We're going to make sure we don't have too much flour, because you don't want to see flour, but you also want to make sure that you don't stick. Okay, a little flour, flip it over. I roll it out probably about 1/8 of an inch. More the better. Now, the trick to get this pie dough in the pie pan, fold it over like this. Bring our pie tin, pie dish, whichever you have, and then that way it's easier to work. We just fold it over like that. I tuck down the sides. As I tuck down the sides, I break off the the excess dough by pushing against the top. Okay, and then we just straighten out. You have a little spot that you see, maybe a little thinner or a little rip. You just take your fingers, put it together like that, and smooth it all out. Save your scraps. I'll show you why. We have our pie filling. As you're scraping it and you're putting it inside here, there's a little bit of juice in the bottom. And that is your apple juice and your cinnamon and your brown sugar. So what we're going to do is even it out. So I'm going to take a little bit and I'm just going to drizzle it on top. So it coats the apples. Okay, now for the top. Now you want to roll out your dough and you want to make sure that you're not too cheap with the dough, because you want to make sure you cover completely. Now if you're making your dough or you're buying it, I mean you could buy the dough and do your whole process with it as well if you're more comfortable with that. But if you're using the regular dough and you're making it, again, how to work with dough easily, we're going to fold it, get the flour, put it back over, give it one more turn, and we're ready to put the top on. And fold it over. Again, we're going to put just with my hand gently, I push it down. To get all the excess off. And then you just take your fingers and you just pinch it. And that gives you that cross shape on the edge. You know, if you're using a store-bought dough, I suggest you still take your fingers and pinch it, and then it gives you more of a homemade feel. Alright, we're going to brush this with egg wash, 1 egg. This helps you brown. It also is going to help us with the next step, which is going to be our decoration. Excess dough. Roll it out. Now, some people like to put lattice work on it. You can do that. I like to do leaves that look like apple leaves. Just like this. Make sure you loosen it up. Always loosen up the dough. You take a small paring knife, and we're going to cut like leaves. Now, no leaf has to look the same. All your leaves are different. Make them nice and abstract. Make little lines. Put them around. What's good for this is a nice trick also is a ravioli cutter with a little scalloped edge. It looks really nice when you use that as well. And you just zigzag it up. And we'll make some more leaves. Now, when you finish with the leaves, and you may find a spot, like we have a little spot here that's open, that's fine. Because what we're going to do now is we have to make some little slits in here for the air to escape so it doesn't blow the top off of this thing. Okay? So, if you have little imperfections in your dough, in the top of your dough, little openings, it's not to be concerned. By the time you finish baking this off, it's going to have a nice homemade feel. We put a little more egg wash. I'm going to put a little brown sugar on top and a little bit of cinnamon. Now we're ready to put our apple pie in the oven 350 degrees. It'll probably take 40-45 minutes. You're gonna see, it's gonna turn nice and brown. That's when you wanna pull it out. When you pull it out, listen, if you wanna eat it right away, that's fine. There's nothing like warm apple pie. Let it sit a little while. It comes together a little bit for you, and it doesn't break apart. But we're gonna put it in the oven now. Now we're gonna pull our apple pie out of the oven. Beautiful, nice and brown apple pie. Looks great. Smells even better than it looks. Because let me tell you, it may not be a perfect apple pie, but it's going to be the best, most delicious apple pie you've ever tasted. Thank you for watching WineandFood.com, made with love.